Welcome back. Yesterday was quite the marathon. I'm sure you've gotten all of that if you watched that last video. I am currently still trying to upload all of that information and get that video posted. So by the time you see this one, that other one's out, you know what happened with this. This is now Sunday, January, I don't want to lie to you, January 5th. January. Wow. Where did time go? Anyhow, I still have a little bit left to do on this wing skin to get it buttoned up. I am going to attempt to see if I can do this, what's left, on my own, since most of it is down low and reachable. I might be able to get two hands in there and do this. If not, I'll have to wait until I get some more help again. What can I say? This was definitely one of the harder things I've done. But in other news, and I will throw the video up with this, yesterday morning before Chris came over, and I'm sure I'll mention it in the other video, before Chris came over, I went ahead and finished getting the panel prepped and Cerakoted. So here is the test panel. It is 1 day into its 5-day cure. I'm going to let it cure the full 5 days before I attempt to abuse it. The first things that I did notice, it sprayed on very, very nicely. This went on really, really well, and it looks really good. It's hard to tell with the right light. There we go. You can clearly see where the body filler is. I attempted to spray a little bit of normal primer on that, just some regular, whatever it was, primer I had laying around. I don't have any fancy epoxy primer. But most of that ended up coming off when I tried to sand it and then wiped it with acetone. So I'm going to have to figure out what I can do for primer, because obviously the body filler shows through, but the rest of it looks really good. The sheen is nice. It's really nice and smooth. And yeah, like I said, it laid down really, really well. I also, you can tell, I shot some on the backside, and this is just to further the test, because I didn't prep the backside of this. It's not scuffed, it's not sanded. The only thing I did was I wiped it down with some acetone and then shot it. So I want to see if there's a difference between sides, so I can tell how durable this really is, how well it adheres, how forgiving it's going to be to what I do or don't do. But yeah, so far, very, very happy with how that went on and came out. Anyhow, that's pretty much it for today. I'm just going to try and get these rivets hopefully on and be done with this this side of the wing. Get the flap hinge riveted on, all the edge ones squeezed and everything, and then back to little stuff until maybe next weekend when I get some help again from Chris to do the other wing. And the downside to this is not only is it really hard, but you got to do it at least twice, or in my case, since Chris is being so kind to help me, I owe him help in return when it's time to put his on, so I've got to do this 3 more times. But we'll get there. It's just an airplane. All right. So this is going to be the 3rd video released today. Weird, it's just the way the timing kind of worked out on that. The Cerakote stuff I already had recorded from yesterday morning, and then obviously everything that happened yesterday with Chris and getting the wing skins mostly riveted on. That was all done and edited and uploaded this morning, and well, this is today's work. I was correct. I was able to go back out there and I could reach by myself all the remaining rivets. It was a little challenging, as you probably saw in the thumbnail and wondered what that picture was. That's the tight, cramped spaces I'm working with. Once again, you see me using that borescope camera. Can't state enough how valuable that thing is, and they're super cheap on Amazon these days. 1,000,001 uses, especially when you start getting to this point of not being able to see anything. You can either feel around and hope that what you feel is good, or you can just stick the camera in there and verify that it's good. And thanks to that camera, there's lots and lots of rivets that got drilled out on these bottom skins. This part right here was actually one of the tougher ones, that bottom section that's on the main spar. Between the ribs on that section, the panel got bowed up just a little bit. It finally laid flat when I got the rivets in, but it was a real pain getting them to line up. After that, the rest of these lined up beautifully. That row, super easy, because I've got that inspection panel there. Even with the bell crank in there, I had enough room to get my arm in and do what needed to be done. But here it starts getting a little harder, because I'm reaching through the lightning hole in that rib into the next bay, and then on this one it gets even harder, because now I'm reaching through two lightning holes on two different ribs to put that bottom row in along the main spar. Just barely reached, but I was able to do it, so that was good. And then reaching this from the other side was also one of the more difficult ones. That very first one or two that I put in was quite the stretch, and I had to use my really long bucking bar to get it. And now I'm using the borescope again. There you can see what I'm looking at. I am just verifying that I really did get those set, and to my surprise, they were nicely set. Looking at the damage to my arm, my arm is definitely chewed up, red, raw. There's some bruises. Not fun. You saw I stuck that LED light in there. That is so I can kind of look in and sort of see through the lightning holes, what I'm looking at, to make sure that I'm on the right one, and just verifying that they're getting set correctly. I'm going to throw a picture up here in a second, giving you a good look at what I could see and what it actually looks like reaching through those two bays like that to get my arm in there. It is very, very tight. If you're out there building one of these, make friends with somebody with really long, skinny arms now. It'll make your life so much easier. There you go. That's what I'm working with. That's actually looking through the outboard lightning hole into that first bay, and then through the lightning holes in the next one into the other bay that I'm working in. And of course, as I get closer to myself, it gets a little easier, at least until I get up towards the flange of that rib, and then I'm kind of reaching around it at a sharp angle. Home stretch on this side, last few rivets, and that whole side is now done. The last thing I have to do as far as the skins go over here is the overlap joint. And that very first one, I messed up badly. You could probably see the dent from here. I thought I was on it. I slipped, and yeah, I just made a gnarly dent and didn't even get the rivet set out of all of that. So I had to drill it out, try again. There you can probably see the dent a little better. Thank God for body filler. I really do need to find a good primer to seal it so that Cerakote will cover it later, but mistakes get made. It's the bottom of the wing. It'll be all right. Yeah, that stretch was every bit as crappy as we thought it was going to be when we were first looking at it. My arm was in through the lightning hole and bent at a 90-degree angle with my really long bucking bar to reach up that row of rivets. But it's all done, and home stretch now. I can put the flap on. All of that was already pre-drilled and good to go, so all I need to do is get it clecoed in place, pull the hinge pins. I chose to put it up there attached to the flap just to make sure it went on dead straight. I knew if I could pull the pins out with it clecoed in place, it should go back together the exact same way once it was riveted. So threw it up there, clecoed it in place, pulled the hinge pins out. It wasn't too bad. It was a little awkward having to reach over the other wing to do it, but got it out, and now I'm just populating those holes with rivets And thankfully, I don't have to shoot or buck any more rivets for the rest of this. I can use the squeezer. You really, really take that for granted after all the hours that got put in to this point. Like I mentioned in the previous video, it was 7 hours yesterday, and this was 2 hours today to finish it all up. So 9 hours total. I'm sure the next one will be a little quicker. Definitely smoother since we have an idea what we're doing. Here goes the last round of rivets now that the clecos are out. And just quickly set them like it's magic. Look at that. I wasn't done making mistakes yet though. One more, thankfully it's a very quick, easy one. The last rivets I have to put in are that inboard rib, and I can squeeze them all, which is good. But I very quickly forgot I have to leave every other hole open later on for the gap seal that goes between the wings and the fuselage later. So I started putting rivets in and I put one where I shouldn't have. So you'll see me drill it out and good to go. No harm, no foul. There it goes. It's gone. Like it never happened. And now I can get the flap pinned back in place. Found the easiest way was I stuck the pin through the outboard edge just to kind of hold it, and then I did the inboard hinge and then pulled that outboard one and stuck it back in. All pinned in place, got the screw installed. Do a quick function check for you. Oh, look at that action. Nice and smooth. Perfectly straight, lined up at the trailing edge like it should be. Couldn't be happier. It looks so much cooler now that it's all together. A little dance of joy, and we are done. So onward to other things, i.e. the left wing. That'll probably be next weekend. We'll see what I come up with to do in the meantime, but I hope you all enjoyed it. I will see you on the next one.